I've got the best news ever. You no longer need to read any rule books, so you can just go ahead and rip them all to pieces. I'm Ryan from How I Roll, and in this Rip Up the Rules, I'm going to teach you how to set up and play Chemical Overload so you can start mixing potions, managing toxins, and claiming the title of Elder Alchemist without ever touching that rule book. Before we go on, please take a second to subscribe to the channel so we can hang out all the time. It helps more than you know. Chemical Overload is designed by Michael and Katie Crandall and published by Rebirth Games, who helped sponsor this video. It's a strategic deck building card game for 1 to 4 players, and it takes about 45 to 75 minutes to play. So come grab a seat in my alchemy lab and let's learn how to play this fantastic game together. Looking for the opportunity to mix exciting potions, all without the mess and risks to your personal health? Chemical Overload thrusts you deep into the world of alchemy, where you're competing to become the next Elder Alchemist. You'll buy flasks and chemicals, create powerful potions, manage rising toxin levels in the lab, and race to score the most victory points before the fumes force everyone to evacuate. Think you've got what it takes to become the almighty alchemist? Let's find out. Before I show you how to set up the game, I just want to note that the version of the game that I'm using in this video is the Deluxe Edition, which doesn't affect gameplay at all, but some of your components might look slightly different, but they work exactly the same. The biggest thing for you to know is that the Standard Edition doesn't have player boards, so whenever you see me reference a space on your player board, just place things in a similar spot on the table in front of you. And in fact, I'm even using the further upgraded neoprene board and player mats. You can check out all of these differences on the Rebirth Games website. Here's how you set up the game. Place the central board in the middle of the table. Make a pile of each level of flask and place it face up on its matching spot on the board. Then do the same with the 3 different chemicals, which are Crimson Ash, Sapphire Essence, and Liquid Jade, and each come in 3 different strengths. Shuffle the Toxin cards and place them face down where the board says Toxin Deck. Place the Toxin tracker on the bottom blue space of the Toxin level meter. Now you'll choose 4 level 2 potions to place on these spaces, 2 level 3 potions for these spaces, 2 level 4s that go here, and 1 level 5 and 1 level 6 that go here. You can choose any combination of 10 potions that you want to use in this game, and switching these up will create variety from game to game. However, at least for your first 2 games, I recommend you use one of the suggested setups in the back of the rulebook, so hopefully you didn't rip that part up. Whichever set of 10 potions you choose, for each potion you take all the cards of that potion, shuffle them up, and place them face up on a space that matches their level listed in the top left corner of the card. Any unused potions can stay in the game box. Place all the coins beside the board in a common supply. Do the same with both the black victory point gems, which are worth 1 point each, and the larger purple ones that are worth 5 victory points each. Now each player takes a player board as well as a starting deck of 10 cards consisting of 2 volume 2 flasks, 4 single Crimson Ash cards, and 4 single Sapphire Essence cards. Each player should shuffle their starting deck and place it face down on this draw area of their player board, and then draw 5 cards to form a starting hand. And that's it. The game is set up and you're ready to start brewing. The player who is most recently in a laboratory gets the first player marker, or you can just randomly choose a starting player. Chemical Overload is played over a series of rounds, beginning with the starting player and moving clockwise around the table until the toxin tracker reaches the end of the toxin levels meter. At that point, you'll finish the current round, and then players will add up their points to see who won. On your turn, you can take up to 2 actions, and for these, you can choose from 4 options, which are nicely laid out in the center of your player board, as well as on these handy player aid cards. These are gain a coin, buy a flask, gain a chemical, and create a potion. For your 2 actions, you can do them in any order you'd like, and you can even do the same action twice. You can also perform any number of the 2 free actions, which are play a potion and table a flask. The core of the game revolves around collecting chemicals and flasks so that you can create and eventually play exciting potions that will grant you all kinds of bonuses. So let's break down the 4 actions that you can choose from on your turn. First, gain a coin. To take this action, simply take 1 coin from the main supply and place it on your player board. Easy. The next option is buy a flask. These flasks come in 5 different sizes, and they each show a cost in gold coins in the bottom left corner. To buy a flask, choose the size you'd like to purchase, pay the listed gold to the main supply, and place it face up in your personal flask pile area on its matching spot. Note that these size 2 flasks don't have a cost listed, so they're free and don't cost any coins, but you still have to use up an action to buy it. You can also choose to gain a chemical from this area of the board over here. Let me pause and explain how chemicals work. Chemicals are essentially your primary currency in this game. They're used to create potions and also to gain more chemicals, particularly higher level chemicals. Each of these chemical cards provides its depicted chemical type, either Crimson Ash, Sapphire Essence, or Liquid Jade, and each card is either a single, which provides one of that chemical, a double which offers two, or a triple that, you guessed it, is worth three of that chemical. Each chemical card also shows a cost to purchase it in the bottom left-hand corner, which you'll have to pay using chemical cards in your hand. For example, if I wanted to purchase this double Crimson Ash, I could pay 3 Crimson Ash singles from my hand. To do so, I place them on the play area of my player board and immediately gain the double Crimson Ash. Let me quickly explain an important concept about purchasing cards, whether it's chemicals, flasks, or potions. On the bottom of each card that you can gain, it will either say table or deck. All chemicals say deck, all flasks say table, and potions can say either. If it says deck, like this double Crimson Ash we just gained, it goes face down on the top of your deck. If it says table, it goes to this flask area if it's a flask, but if it's a potion, it goes to the right of your player board where it says table cards. With that out of the way, let's look at one more quick example of gaining a chemical. If I wanted to get a double Liquid Jade, I would need to spend 3 Liquid Jade. All I have in my hand are 2 double Liquid Jades. I'm allowed to overpay, but unfortunately in this game, there's no change made, so the excess just gets lost. I know, it's sad. I put these 2 cards in my player area and put this new double Liquid Jade on top of my deck. Also, notice that single Crimson Ash and Sapphire Essence are free to purchase, but just like the level 2 flasks, these still require an action to gain. So, we've covered the first 3 options: gain a coin, buy a flask, and gain a chemical. The last option is the exciting create a potion action. Here's how it works. Each potion has 2 requirements you need to meet in order to create it. It has a chemical cost on the left side of the card, which, just like gaining a chemical, has to be paid from your hand. But it also has a potion level listed in the top left corner of the card, which depicts which flask you need in order to concoct it. This means that you need to have this exact level of flask available either in your hand or in your face-up flask area in order to create it. You place all the chemicals and the flask in your play area and then take the top card of that potion pile. For example, if I wanted to create this minor victory potion, I could place these 2 single Sapphire Essences in my player area, as well as this level 2 flask from my flask area. Then I'd take this card and, since it says table, place it to the right of my player board. Or if I wanted to create this potion of greater transmogrify, I could play this level 1 Crimson Ash, 2 level 1 Sapphire Essences, and 1 level 2 Liquid Jade card, as well as this level 4 flask that I have in my hand. This potion says deck at the bottom, so it would go straight on the top of my deck. And that's how you create a potion. You're now officially an alchemist. Good job. You might have noticed that some of these potion cards have fairly colorless backgrounds, while some have this mysterious green background. There's a reason for this. The green potions are toxic. But don't worry, they're not going to set off your carbon monoxide alarm. They work exactly the same as the regular ones, but immediately when you create a toxic potion, you advance the marker up 1 space on the toxin track. If the space that you move the tracker into has victory points listed on the right-hand side, you gain those immediately. If the space has one of these green toxin cards pictured to the left of it, you'll resolve that after your turn is over. So we'll come back to that in a moment. And now you know all 4 of the main actions. Again, you get to do 2 actions on your turn in any combination, even doing the same one twice. Besides these main actions, as I mentioned earlier, there are 2 free actions you can take at any point during your turn and as many times as you'd like. First, you can table a flask. This just means that you can place a flask card in your hand onto its matching space in your table area. The main reason for doing this is so that it's not clogging up your deck but can still be used to create potions. And the other free action is playing a potion, which is where the real fun sets in. You can freely play a potion from your hand or table area. Most of the table potions are simply passive abilities or endgame points, but if it has an action, you can apply it once per round and leave it there. If it's from your hand, you place it face up in your play area and then immediately resolve the effects listed on it. These potions offer all kinds of effects, like gaining you victory point crystals and coins, drawing cards, granting you easier ways to get new chemicals and potions, the potion acting as a chemical card, destroying cards from your deck, and more. Here are a few examples. By playing this potion of 3 wishes, I would get to draw a card from my deck, adding it to my hand, as well as gain a coin and also get 1 victory point gem. If I play this cleansing potion, I again get to draw an extra card, and then I can also choose a card from my hand or that's in my table area to destroy. I don't think I need this single Crimson Ash anymore, so I'll destroy it by removing it entirely from the game. Or when I play this potion of greater transmogrify, it acts as any triple chemical, so I could also play a single Crimson Ash, a single Sapphire Essence, and a single Liquid Jade jade along with this level 6 flask in order to buy this epic pearl potion, which immediately goes on top of my deck. And with this lucky potion in my table area, I can just activate it once per round to gain a coin from the main supply. There are a total of 40 different potion cards for you to discover as you play this game. Once you've done your 2 actions and any number of free actions, your turn is over. You discard all of the cards in your play area into a face-up discard pile. Then if you have any cards left in your hand, you can choose to either discard or keep any number of them. For example, if I have these 3 chemicals in my hand, I might keep this double liquid jade, but discard these 2 singles, leaving me with 1 card left in my hand. Once you've made that decision, you draw cards from your deck until you have 5 cards in your hand. At this point, it's time to deal with the toxin track if the toxin marker entered one of these spaces with a green card to the left of it. If this happened, you reveal the top card of the toxin deck and place it in this active toxin area. If there was already a card there, remove it from the game entirely. These toxin cards each have 4 levels, 0 through 3, that match the levels on the toxin track. Whichever level of the toxin track the marker is in signifies which effect on the new card takes effect. There are 2 types of toxin card effects: one time, which happen immediately when the card is revealed, and ongoing, which continue to impact the game as long as this card is in play. Here are a few examples. If the toxin marker just hit level 0 and overabundance was revealed, each player would immediately draw 2 cards into their hand. If it hit level 1 and disbursement came into play, from now on for the rest of toxin level 1, whenever a player takes a coin as an action, they actually get 2. If bounty showed up at level 2, you would put a coin on each potion deck. Then the next player to create a potion that has a coin on it also gains that coin. And finally, if level 3 brought deficit into play, the level 6 potion deck would get flipped upside down and would no longer be available. After your turn is complete and a new toxin card is revealed if necessary, the player to your left starts their turn. Turns continue like this, going around the table in clockwise order until a player causes the toxin marker to hit the final space of the toxin track. At this point, it's time for players to evacuate the lab. The game end has been triggered and you finish the current round, ending with the player to the right of the player with the starting player token so that everyone has had an equal number of turns. Now you calculate your scores and find out who the most powerful potion producer is. You get points from all of the victory point gems you've collected throughout the game, as well as the number of victory points listed on the bottom right of all of the cards that you own. Add these numbers together to find out your final score. For example, I would get a total of 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18 points for my victory point gems, plus another 1, 2, 4 points for my chemicals, bringing my total up to 22. And for my flasks, I get 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 points, bringing my total up to 30. And from my potions, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 12, 15 points, bringing my grand total up to 45 victory points. The player with the most points wins the game and is now heralded as the new and esteemed Elder Alchemist, while the other players can only dream of one day working in the same lab as them once again. And that's Chemical Overload with no rule books, maybe just a couple spell books for good measure. The game also comes with a solo mode, which you can find out all about in the solo rulebook. I hope you have a fantastic time brewing in the lab and that this video helps you dive right in. I'd love to hear from you, so drop a comment below with your thoughts on the game, or if you have a question about the game or any of the rules. I always reply to every comment. I've linked the Board Game Geek page for Chemical Overload in the description below, along with the Rebirth Games website where you can learn even more. Thanks so much for watching another Rip Up the Rules on How I Roll. I hope you have a very non-toxic rest of your day.